What if I told you that the root of all the evil in the world started from one being's refusal to obey a simple command? The Quran tells us a powerful story about Iblis, a being who refused to follow Allah's order because of his own arrogance. This story is about pride, jealousy, and the result of going against God's will. Today, we will deeply explore the story of Iblis, why he refused to bow to Adam, and the consequences of his actions that are still felt today. Get ready to understand the heart of arrogance, the seriousness of rebellion, and the importance of following the Creator. In this video, we will look at the creation of Adam, Iblis' refusal to obey, and the critical lessons from this event that still matter today. Get ready for an enlightening look at a crucial moment in Islamic history. The story of Adam's creation is significant in Islamic belief. It helps us understand what happened next, especially when Iblis refused to bow to Adam. Adam's creation begins with Allah's plan to make a new being from clay. This clay symbolizes the earthly and humble nature of humans. The Quran describes this clay in Surah Al-Hijr, verse 26, as sounding clay from altered black mud, showing the careful and particular way Adam was made, setting him apart from other creations. Allah created Adam through a direct and personal act. Unlike other beings created with a simple command of be, Allah shaped Adam with his hands. This is highlighted in Surah Al-Sad, verse 75, where Allah asks Iblis, "What prevented you from prostrating to what I created with my own hands?" The phrase, "with my own hands," shows Adam's special status and the care he takes in his creation, emphasizing his honor and importance. Once Adam's form was entirely created, Allah breathed his spirit into him, as stated in Surah Al-Sad, verse 72. "So when I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, then fall down before he prostrates." This divine breath gave Adam life and filled him with his soul, intelligence, and the ability to make choices. It turned Adam from a lifeless shape into a living being with the potential for excellent knowledge and moral responsibility. The Quran also highlights the special knowledge given to Adam, as shown in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 31, and he taught Adam the names of all things. This verse tells us that Adam was given unique knowledge even the angels did not have. Knowing the names of things represents Adam's ability to understand creation and his role as Allah's representative on earth, the Khalifa. After Adam was created and given this knowledge, Allah gathered the angels and Iblis and commanded them to bow down to Adam as a sign of respect and recognition of his special status. This command is recorded in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 11. "We created you, then we fashioned you, then we said to the angels, 'Prostrate to Adam.' So they prostrated except for Iblis. He was not of those who prostrated." This prostration recognized Adam's vital role as the Khalifa, able to understand, rule, and care for the earth. The angels, being obedient and humble, immediately followed Allah's command. Their bowing showed their recognition of Allah's wisdom and submission to His will. However, Iblis, who was also there, refused to bow. His refusal was a profound challenge rooted in pride and jealousy. As described in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 12, Iblis argued that he was better than Adam, saying, "I am better than him. You created him from fire and you created him from clay." Iblis believed that fire was more powerful and noble than clay, leading him to refuse to bow. In Surah Al-A'raf, verse 12, Allah asked Iblis, "What stopped you from bowing when I told you to?" This question is important because it challenges Iblis' nature and role in the divine plan. Allah's command to bow was a way to show the divine order, where Adam was given a special status because of the unique knowledge and abilities Allah had given him. Iblis' reply to Allah's question shows his defiance. "I am better than him. You made me from fire and him from clay." This statement reveals Iblis' arrogance. He believes he is superior because he was made from fire, which he sees as better than clay. In Islamic belief, fire symbolizes power and nobility, while clay represents humility and simplicity. However, Iblis is wrong because it is not the material of creation that matters, but following God's purpose and commands. Iblis's pride in being made from fire makes him refuse to bow to Adam, who was created from what he sees as a lesser material. His arrogance prevents him from understanding that Allah's command must be followed without question, no matter how he feels or how he views his own superiority. This refusal is a clear rejection of Allah's wisdom and authority. Iblis misunderstands the nature of obeying Allah. The command to bow was about respecting Allah's wisdom in choosing Adam for a particular role. Bowing was a way to accept Allah's decision to make Adam the Khalifa, also known as vicegerent, on earth, a role that all of creation was meant to respect. However, Iblis chose to go against Allah's will, declaring himself separate from divine authority. This rebellion is the first example of kibr, also known as arrogance in Islamic teachings, considered a grave sin. Iblis's pride made him think his own judgment was better than Allah's, putting his own will above divine commands. The Quran explains that Iblis was once close to Allah, possibly among the highest of the jinn, or even in a position like the angels. His name Iblis came from the Arabic root BLS, meaning to despair or to lose hope, showing his fall from grace. His refusal to bow to Adam marks when he loses his high status and becomes cursed. Iblis's defiance represents a more significant spiritual lesson in Islamic teachings. Arrogance and pride lead to downfall. Iblis's refusal to follow Allah's command shows his more profound rejection of the idea that Allah's wisdom and will are the highest. This incident stresses the need for humility and obedience to God, key themes in Islamic spirituality. The consequences for Iblis are immediate and severe. Allah punishes him for his arrogance by casting him out of heaven and taking away his high status. This punishment happens because Iblis refused to accept Allah's order and tried to place his own judgment above Allah's. The Quran makes it clear that Iblis' rebellion was a conscious choice to go against Allah's will, fueled by his pride and jealousy. Iblis's defiance also sets him up as a tempter and enemy of humanity. His refusal to obey to Adam leads him to view humans with contempt and jealousy. Iblis then vows to mislead and tempt Adam and his descendants. In Surah Al-A'raf, verse 16 to 17, Iblis says, "Because you have put me in error, I will surely wait for them on your straight path. Then I will come at them from the front and from the back, from the right and from the left, and you will find most of them ungrateful to you." Thus, Iblis' defiance impacts all of humanity. His rebellion introduces the idea of fitna, trial or temptations, challenging people's faith and obedience. The story of Iblis teaches a powerful lesson about the dangers of arrogance and the severe results of such defiance. When Iblis refused to bow to Adam, it was a direct challenge to Allah's authority and wisdom. The Quran describes the immediate result of Iblis' arrogance in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 13, where Allah tells Iblis to descend from paradise, for it is not for you to be arrogant therein. So get out, indeed you are of the debased. This verse shows Iblis' downfall clearly. His arrogance makes him unfit to stay in the respected company of the angels and in the pure realm of paradise. The command to descend means both a physical and spiritual fall. Iblis, who once held a high position, is now cast out of paradise, a place of purity and obedience to Allah. Its removal shows that arrogance has no place in the presence of God. The phrase, "you are of the debased," highlights how far Iblis has fallen. It is a complete reversal of his position. He becomes the most disgraced from being among the honored. This fall shows that arrogance leads to losing respect and deepening spiritual degradation. Iblis' pride and belief in his superiority, which he thought made him better than others, ultimately humiliated him. Even in this total disgrace, Iblis does not apologize or ask for forgiveness. Instead, he remains arrogant and defiant against Allah. Rather than admitting his mistake, Iblis blames Allah for his situation, as shown in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 16 to 17. It says, "Because you have put me in error, I will surely wait for them on your straight path. I will come to them from before them, from behind them, and from their right and left. You will not find most of them grateful to you. This statement is essential for a few reasons. First, it shows that Iblis refuses to accept responsibility for his actions. He does not see his expulsion as a result of his arrogance, but blames it on Allah for putting him in error. This inability to admit fault and tendency to blame others, even the Creator, is a vital part of Iblis's character. Second, Iblis's promise to mislead humans is a direct challenge to Allah and shows his hatred towards humanity. Iblis reveals his plan to block and divert people from following the right path by saying he will wait on the straight path. In Islam, the straight path represents the way of truth, obedience to Allah, and moral integrity. Iblis's commitment to mislead people emphasizes his role as a tempter and deceiver, aiming to create doubt, confusion, and sin among humans. The idea that Iblis will come from before them and from behind them, and on their right and left, shows the extent of his deception. It suggests that Iblis will try every possible way to lead people astray, attacking from all directions and using every weakness. He aims to make people deviate from right path, commit sins, and share in his fate of disgrace and punishment. Moreover, Iblis's claim that you will not find most of them grateful to you reveals his belief that he can lead most people away from being thankful and worshipful towards Allah. In Islam, gratitude is closely linked to faith and obedience. A grateful person acknowledges Allah's blessings and remains on the path of righteousness. Iblis's plan is to weaken this sense of gratitude, leading people into ungratefulness, disobedience, and eventually disbelief. The effects of Iblis's arrogance go beyond his own downfall and impact all of humanity. His hatred for humans becomes vital to the ongoing battle between good and evil. This battle involves Iblis constantly trying to lead people away from Allah's guidance, while faithful people strive to resist its temptations and stay true to their right path. In Islamic belief, this struggle is seen as a test for humanity. Iblis's presence and his attempts to mislead people are considered part of Allah's plan to test human faith, determination, and goodness. Those who resist Iblis's temptation and stay obedient to Allah are promised rewards and salvation. In contrast, those who give in are warned about the negative results of following a path of arrogance and rebellion. The story of Iblis refusing to bow to Adam, as told in the Quran, teaches important lessons that are still relevant today. These lessons highlight the dangers of arrogance, the importance of obeying God's commands, the severe consequences of disobedience, and the ongoing battle between good and evil. Each part of this story helps believers think about their actions and attitudes. One key lesson from Iblis' story is about the harm of arrogance. Iblis' refusal to bow to Adam came from a deep sense of arrogance. Iblis thought he was better than Adam because he was made from fire, which he believed was more critical than clay. This arrogance made Iblis question God's wisdom and put his opinion above God's command. Arrogance, as shown by Iblis, blinds people to the truth. It changes how they see things, making it hard to move past their ego and biases. For Iblis, this arrogance led him to ignore God's command, which caused his downfall. This teaches that arrogance stops spiritual growth and understanding. It makes it hard for people to see their mistakes and can lead them away from truth and guidance. In everyday life, this lesson about arrogance is vital. It warns about the dangers of pride in personal relationships, work, and spiritual practices. Arrogance can cause conflicts, make people feel isolated, and lead them away from what is right. The story of Iblis shows that humility is essential. Being humble helps people avoid the problems of pride and stay true to the path of truth. Another key lesson from the story of Iblis is the importance of obeying Allah. The Quran tells us that even though the angels were very close to Allah and had high status, they did not question the command to bow to Adam. They followed Allah's command immediately and without question, showing humility and respect for his authority. On the other hand, Iblis refused to obey Allah. His refusal shows the problems that come from putting one's opinions above Allah's commands. Obeying Allah is a fundamental principle in Islam. It means following His commands even if they don't match our personal desires or make sense to us. The story reminds us that Allah's wisdom is beyond human understanding, and obeying Him is a sign of faith and trust in His plan. This lesson is vital during personal struggles or when making tough decisions against our desires or beliefs. It encourages believers to trust Allah's wisdom and follow His guidance, even when it's hard. Obeying Allah is shown as the way to succeed in this life and next, while ignoring His commands leads to failure, as Iblis's fate demonstrates. The story also warns about the consequences of going against Allah's commands. Iblis's refusal to bow led to his immediate removal from paradise and is changed into an evil figure. This dramatic fall from honor to disgrace shows how grave disobedience to Allah is. Iblis's defiance affected him personally and started his ongoing effort to mislead humanity. His refusal to follow Allah's command led him to work constantly to lead others away from the right path. His actions show that defiance against divine commands brings negative results, both now and in the afterlife. It is a warning to think about the long-term effects of our actions and to stay mindful of our duties to Allah. The story of Iblis encourages self-reflection and responsibility, reminding us that ignoring Allah's guidance can have severe and wide-reaching consequences. Finally, the story highlights the ongoing struggle between good and evil. After being cast out of paradise, Iblis vowed to lead humanity astray and make them ungrateful to Allah. This marks the start of a continuous battle between truth and falsehood, right and wrong, which continues today. This struggle is a central theme in Islamic teachings. Each person is tested in their faith, actions, and intentions. Iblis represents the forces of evil that try to lead people away from the right path. His goal to mislead people reminds us of the constant need to stay vigilant, maintain our faith, and resist temptations. The Quran advises believers to be aware of Shaitan, also known as Satan, and seek protection from his influence. The battle between good and evil is external and internal, as people face their desires and weaknesses. The story of Iblis highlights the need for spiritual strength, self-awareness, and continuous guidance from Allah to handle life's challenges. The story of Iblis refusing to bow to Adam has deep religious and moral meaning, going beyond being a historical event. It touches on essential parts of Islamic belief, like free will, the need for humility, and the ongoing fight against temptation. These ideas offer valuable lessons for understanding faith and morality. The main idea in the story is free will, which is a critical concept in Islamic belief. The Quran shows that Iblis, like all intelligent beings, had the power to choose between following or not following Allah's commands. His refusal to bow to Adam was a choice he made based on his own judgment and pride. This choice highlights how crucial free will is in Islam. In Islam, free will is seen as both a gift and a test. Allah allowed beings to choose and be tested on their actions and decisions. This test applies to everyone, including angels and jinn, not just humans. Iblis's choice to disobey Allah shows what can happen when free will is misused. His fall from grace reminds us that with the ability to choose comes the responsibility to make wise decisions, following divine guidance rather than personal desires. The story of Iblis also shows that free will is a vital part of being human. It is through our choices that we show our submission to Allah. Every choice we make, whether to obey or disobey divine command, reflects our faith and character. Therefore, the story stresses the importance of aligning our will with Allah's. True freedom is found in following His will, not just doing what we want. Another vital lesson from Iblis' story is the danger of being arrogant and the importance of being humble. Iblis refused to bow to Adam because he believed it was better since he was made from fire and Adam was made from clay. This arrogance made Iblis ignore Allah's command, leading to his downfall. Arrogance, as shown by Iblis, is a very harmful trait. It makes people feel entitled and self-righteous, causing them to reject truth and guidance. In Islam, arrogance is seen as a grave sin because it puts one's pride above Allah's will and disrupts the balance between creation and the creator. The Quran warns against arrogance, using Iblis' story to show how it can lead to spiritual ruin. On the other hand, the humility of the angels who bowed to Adam without question shows the importance of accepting Allah's will. Even though the angels were highly respected, they did not question Allah's command. They understood their role was to obey. This humility is a model for all believers, showing that true greatness is in recognizing one's place before Allah and accepting His will, no matter personal pride or understanding. Thinking about humility also highlights that it is needed for spiritual growth. Being humble helps believers admit their need for Allah, seek His guidance, and accept His wisdom, even when it is beyond human understanding. One can build a closer relationship with Allah and fulfill their purpose through humility. Iblis' promise to mislead humanity brings attention to another critical part of the story: the constant threat of temptation after being cast out of paradise. Iblis did not repent. Instead, he vowed to lead people astray by exploiting their weaknesses and desires. This shows that temptation is always present in the lives of believers. In Islamic teachings, Iblis, also known as Satan, represents evil and temptation. His goal is to lead people away from the right path, encouraging sinful behavior and distracting them from devotion to Allah. The Quran explains how Iblis tries to mislead people from every direction. This ongoing threat means believers must stay alert and committed to their faith. Theological reflections on this part of the story highlight how important it is for Muslims to seek protection from Allah against the whispers of Shaitan, also known as Iblis. Muslims should recognize their weaknesses and strengthen themselves through prayer, remembering Allah and following His commands. The story of Iblis warns that being on the right path can be difficult, but with solid faith and trust in Allah, believers can resist these temptations. The story of Iblis also shows themes of divine wisdom and justice. Allah's order for the angels and Iblis to bow to Adam shows His wisdom and power. Iblis' refusal to obey showed he didn't recognize or accept Allah's wisdom and chose instead to depend on his own limited understanding. Islamic teachings say that Allah's wisdom is perfect and covers everything. Humans and other beings have limited understanding and can't fully know why Allah gives specific commands. This story reminds us that we should obey Allah based on trust in His wisdom and justice, even if we need help understanding His reasons. Moreover, Iblis' punishment shows divine justice. He was punished because of his choices. His expulsion from paradise and his change into a source of evil directly resulted from his actions. This shows that in Islam, people are judged based on their intentions and actions, and divine justice is given accordingly. Lastly, the story of Iblis has a moral lesson for all believers. It is a story to tell and a call to action. Believers are urged to reflect on their behavior and strive for moral and spiritual excellence. The lessons from Iblis' defiance guide the believers daily, helping them avoid arrogance, embrace humility, and stay devoted to Allah. As we finish exploring Iblis' refusal to bow to Adam, it is clear that this story teaches us a lot about pride, obedience, and the ongoing battle between good and evil. The tale of Iblis reminds us of how important it is to be humble, the result of being arrogant, and the need to stay alert on our spiritual path. If you found this story helpful and inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more details about the stories of the Quran. Let us know in the comments which Quranic story you would like to explore next. Your support helps us bring more meaningful content that inspires and educates. Join us on this journey of discovery and faith.